Scream 6 is easily the best sixth entry in a franchise since Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and Saw 6. Hey everyone, my name is Gavin and I love horror. After much anticipation, Scream 6 is finally here. Now last year's Scream 5 I thought was pretty good, but it felt like something was missing and it did a lot of things that I didn't love. I'm looking at you, Force Ghost Billy. Thankfully, Scream 6 corrects a lot of the issues with Scream 5, however, it does have a few shortcomings of its own. Let's get into it. Before we get started, go ahead and leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate all of the support. Also, want to give out a massive spoiler warning as I will be talking about everything that happens in Scream 6. I'll talk about the killer reveal at the end, and I'll let you know whether or not Neve Campbell does show up as Sidney Prescott in Scream 6. But first, the new Scream picks up 1 year after Scream 5 ends. You've got Tara, Sam, Chad, and Mindy all living in New York City. Tara's going to college, and Sam kind of tagged along to New York to keep an eye on Tara because, you know, almost being killed by Ghostface kind of makes you an overprotective sister. People online are accusing Sam of being the real killer of the latest Woodsboro massacre after it's revealed that she is Billy Loomis's daughter. They think Sam actually is the one who orchestrated all of the murders and actually framed Richie and Amber. I thought this aspect of Scream 6 was super cool and super original because we all know whenever there's like a high-profile murder, there's conspiracy theories that run rampant all over the internet. So I really like seeing this come into the Scream universe. Also, Scream 6 has one of the best opening kills of the entire franchise. Yes, I'm still partial to the iconic original, and I love Scream 4's opening, but the opening to Scream 6 subverts so many expectations where you have the Samara Weaving's cameo character getting killed, and then you have an immediate Ghostface reveal. Like, I was not expecting that, and thought it was a very cool way to open Scream 6. The movie also introduces some new characters as you'd come to expect from a Scream series, but the core four of Sam, Mindy, Chad, and Tara are really who carry this movie. And yeah, a lot of these new characters exist only so they can be fodder for Ghostface, but some I think are gonna make it at least until next year's already announced Scream 7. You also have the returning characters of Gale Weathers and Kirby Reed making her first appearance in the series since Scream 4. After Scream 4 ended in the years following, people speculated like, oh, did Kirby survive? Could she have survived getting stabbed? And we, of course, it was revealed in Scream 5 and a little YouTube Easter egg that, yeah, she did in fact survive. So Kirby Reed being included was a welcome addition to the cast because it bridges the gap between the original trilogy, this new series, and Scream 4. And I know they brought in Officer Judy from Scream 4 into Scream 5, but let's be honest, Kirby is just a much better character and was a welcome return to the franchise. In the trailers for Scream 6, the new Ghostface declared that they were something different, and honestly, I think that's a good way to describe them. This new Ghostface is absolutely brutal in the way it executes its kills. It feels meaner, it feels more brutal, and the kills this time out are a little more creative. There's one scene in particular involving the character of Annika, which is Mindy's girlfriend, getting stabbed and having to crawl across a ladder that's bridged between two apartment windows that had a particularly brutal end and is definitely one of the most memorable kills I've seen so far in 2023. So they definitely did not skimp on the gore this time out for Scream 6, which was cool to see. With all these hyper-violent movies coming out recently, it's good to see that Scream can still keep up. And the bodega scene with Ghostface wielding the shotgun was cool to see in full, even if most of it was given away in the trailer. The real star of Scream 6 for me is how much they respect the history of the franchise. And franchise is the word that gets thrown around a lot in Scream 6, as Mindy explains that we're no longer in a sequel, we're no longer in a trilogy, and we're no longer in a requel, we're now in a franchise, and the stakes in a franchise are way different. Legacy characters don't matter. Anybody can die because now we're in episodic installments where they can bring in new people the next time, so nobody is safe, which added an element of real danger to what can happen in Scream 6. But Scream 6 respects the history of the franchise by sticking to the continuity that's established in past movies. When they get to the Ghostface lair and you see all of the Easter eggs from previous movies, you've got Steve's Letterman jacket and duct tape from Scream 1, and it's very, very cool to like look around and be like, oh hey, look at all this cool stuff. Look at you're the Leonardo DiCaprio meme every 5 seconds. Like, look at this, look at it, look at what they're doing. That's so cool. Now I mentioned it briefly earlier earlier, and one of the main selling points of Scream 6 was the change of location from Woodsboro to New York City. Now, the last time the franchise changed locations was in Scream 3, when they took it from Woodsboro over to Los Angeles, and people don't really enjoy that movie that much for a lot of reasons, but part of it was like, oh, they're in Hollywood now, it just feels it feels weird. So people were wondering, how is New York City going to affect Scream 6? And honestly, it doesn't really do much. So if you're worried about Scream 6 being a Jason Takes Manhattan situation, you have no fears whatsoever. The only thing that really happens that New York City is affected by is that you do have the subway scene and things take a little bit longer to get to because the city is so massive. But honestly, it just feels like a Scream movie that happens to take place in New York City, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's not distracting. Also, that subway scene that you see in the trailer is definitely one of the top 3 most tense scenes in any of the Scream movies. I loved how the lights kept going off and you had all the people in costumes because it was Halloween, and trying to figure out like, oh, who is the real Ghostface? Who is going to get stabbed? What's going to happen? So I definitely love that. Had me on the edge of my seat. So I've shared a lot about what I love about Scream 6. I love the characters, I love the new Ghostface, I love the setting, and I love the brutality and the kills. However, there are some things that I did not love, and some problems from Scream 5 creep back in to Scream 6. And of course, I'm talking about Force Ghost Billy. I do not know why they keep pushing this angle of Billy appearing to Sam and telling her to like be who she's supposed to be. I did not like it in Scream 5. I do not like it in Scream 6. And even though in Scream 6, I will say it is much more toned down, and he does appear more like a villain as opposed to like some weird anti-hero trying to protect Sam. So they did tone it back, but Force Ghost Billy is still there talking to Sam. I don't love that they're trying to like do this will they, won't they? Is Sam gonna become a Ghostface? Is she gonna be a killer? What's gonna happen? I don't like that forced narrative that they're putting on her character because it's really holding her back. I just don't like it. At the end of the day, I just don't like it, and I feel it takes the Scream series into a more supernatural territory that it never needed to go to. And the part that works the least for me in Scream 6 is, again, spoiler warning, big ol' spoiler warning, is the killer reveal. The Scream movies live and die by their killer reveal. If you have a great one, you're gonna be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. We all remember a great twist in a horror movie. So Scream movies are all about like the whodunit. Who is the one doing the Ghostface murders? And if the whodunit does not pay off, then the entire movie can have like a sour taste that's kind of left over it. And that's kind of what happens here in Scream 6. But it is revealed that there's not 1, not 2, but 3 killers. The first killer is Detective Bailey, played by Dermot Mulroney, which, no surprise there, I'll never forget how dirty you did Fiona on Shameless, okay? The minute I saw you were in this movie, I'm like, yeah, he's the killer. That is, he's the killer. The second and third killers are revealed to be Quinn and Ethan, who are his children. The Quinn reveal is supposed to be shocking as she was killed earlier in the movie, so we're like, what? I thought she was dead. But the way Detective Bailey explains how he faked her death and like switched a body out or whatever, it just seems a little too far-fetched for me in a series that regularly talks about cloning cell phones and makes it seem easy and fun, which it is not. I know you're not supposed to bring logic into slasher movies, but sometimes ideas are so far-fetched that you're like, yeah, I don't think that would work. Even when I suspend my disbelief, I don't think this is that seems too complicated for me. Of course, the motive for this family of killers is that they are actually the family of Richie from Scream 5, and they are taking revenge on Sam and Tara for killing their brother and their son, which, okay, not a bad motive, but unfortunately, it's one that we've seen a lot before in the Scream series. So that's why it kind of fell flat for me, because we've seen the family revenge plot in Scream 2 and in Scream 3. So to connect it to a previous killer again, it just seemed kind of been there, done that. The final showdown, though, in the Ghostface lair was cool, but none of the main killers actually have a very memorable death. There's no Stu getting crushed with a TV this time out. So, again, pretty standard stuff for a Scream movie. Oh, and one other thing, Scream 6 really wanted to make you feel like nobody was safe and that anybody could die at any time. Mindy talks about it in her speech about being a franchise now. But Scream 6 does this thing where they think they've killed a main character. Like at one point you think Gale Weathers gets killed and you're like, oh my God, they're killing Gale. They're gonna do it. Only for somebody to come in and be like, oh, we have a faint pulse. Oh, okay, yeah. And I know we all loved how Dewey would almost get killed in the early Scream trilogy, and they'd be like, oh no, it hit scar tissue. He's gonna make it through. But Scream 6 does this 3 different times with 3 different characters where you think they've been stabbed like 29 times and they're finally dead, and you're like, oh no, is Chad dead? Is Mindy dead? Oh my God, is this? And then they're like, oh no, they're actually okay. They made it to the hospital and they're gonna pull through. So it lowers the stakes of your movie if everybody can get stabbed like 1,000 times and still be like, there's a pulse, they're gonna pull through. You gotta kill some characters at some point. And finally, a big question that a lot of Scream fans had was, does Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell show up in Scream 6? There, of course, famously, earlier this year, there was a huge contract dispute where Neve Campbell wanted to be paid what she deserves and what she's worth, and the studio said, no, we're not gonna pay you this much. So Neve Campbell stepped away for the first time in franchise history, but there were many of us who were still holding out hope that maybe she'd come to some sort of agreement to do a cameo or something. So the entire movie, you're kind of like waiting for her to show up, maybe a post-credit scene, but does she show up? And the answer is no, she does not. Sidney Prescott is not in Scream 6. She did not make a cameo or anything like that, but she is written out in a pretty logical way where Gale Weathers says that she called Sidney, and Sidney is just taking Mark and their kids and hunkering down until this all blows over, which after 5 Ghostface attacks, like, yeah, girl, you just hide in your bunker, in your safe room, and wait for this all to blow over. Overall, Scream 6 is a top 3 Scream movie for me, and I honestly cannot wait to see it again. There's a lot to love. I know it has a few, I know I nitpicked the killer reveal and stuff, but there's a lot in Scream 6 that I absolutely loved. I love the angle with the conspiracy theories. I love the angle of the Ghostface lair. I love building on the history of the franchise. Scream 6 is easily the best 6th entry in a franchise since Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and Saw 6. It's good, y'all, even if it does have a few shortcomings. And of course, I look forward to seeing what they do next year in Scream 7. So go check out Scream 6, highly recommended. But what did you think? Were you a fan of Scream 6, or were you just kind of like, another Scream movie? Let me know in the comments below what you thought. Also, what do you want to see in Scream 6? If you can like fantasy write this movie, what do you want to see in Scream 7? Let me know in the comments below. As always, be sure to leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, stay weird.